missing someone. Love with all your heart. Missing someone. Love with heart.
What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. So this week I have a touch-up client. She comes in about every, I would say 4 months. So this is about a 4-month regrowth, and we normally do a highlight, and then lately we've been trying out different colors. She used to do a bunch of different like silver tones, and then this last color we did was a very brightish pink fuchsia type of tone, and this is basically what it's kind of faded out to. Today she showed me a picture that she wanted something that was very light and silvery, kind of like lavender, but you can see back here it's pretty vibrant still, so I told her we might have to do something a little bit more vibrant than a silver tone, so we opted to choose something that was going to be more of like a more purple tone, but still keep it nice and pastel, so that we didn't have to remove any of the color and we could just work with the way that her hair has faded out. So right now I am just detailing her hairline, doing a weave here, and I pretty much do the very same placement on her every time she comes in, and I feel like a 3 to 4 month mark is pretty good depending on how fast your client's hair grows. Her roots aren't too bad, and I feel like this gives it enough growth to where you can have that dimension and have that soft grow out, and when her roots grow in like her natural hair, it will just blend a lot more seamlessly and not be such like a harsh line. So if a client is wanting more of that balayage look, then I would say a good amount of spacing time for maintenance would be about like that 3 to maximum 4 month mark, to kind of keep it nice and solid on the ends to where you can touch up the longest root like I'm doing this appointment, but also keep a good amount of dimension to where their hair can grow out a lot softer. For the spacing in the back, I'm probably taking about, I would say, like maybe 1/4 of an inch up. What I'm really looking for in these slices as I'm going through the back is I'm slicing her first to where I would think is appropriate amount of spacing, which is about like 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm also actively looking for the part that has like the longest root. So if I feel like an area that I picked up looks like a fresh slice that I did previously, then I'll try and kind of actively search for a slice to where the root is a bit longer. And this is just what I generally do on all of my clients. So when they come in, I'm not really touching up the dark that was highlighted last appointment. I'm really touching up the dark that was maybe left out that appointment or left out the appointment before. So when I'm doing touch-ups and highlights like this to create that more like soft dimensional but also solid ends, this is how I would tackle it, and actively just look for the darkest part and highlight those areas. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep your ends nice and bright and solid and make them feel like it kind of gives them that ombre effect to where the roots are darker and it seamlessly gets lighter towards the ends. Because if I were to pick up the blonde areas or the parts that were already lightened, then what that would do as her hair grows out and we start to cut it is the dark areas will start to reach the bottom of her hair, and she'll have a lot more dimension throughout their ends. So I'm continuing that center parting all the way up to the top. She does part her hair a little off center, so I kind of adjusted the positioning of this top section according to that. And again, just doing the same thing, picking up the longest root and touching that up. For my lightener, I'm using the Blondie Schwarzkopf lightener, and I use a weaker bowl in the beginning, like I do on all of my clients. I did a first bowl of like 6 and 20 volume, and then the rest of the head I'm just going to be doing 20 volume throughout. So as I'm on the top here, I am still taking slices, and my spacing is probably a little bit closer together in this area because I do want her to feel like she has a good amount of color on the top. So again, just trying to actively pick out the darker areas, but also keep a decent pattern as far as my spacing with my slices. So now that I'm up to her front hairline area, she does have a fringe that I will just be weaving. It's just my personal preference that I don't really like to slice if a client has a fringe. I feel like it just doesn't look very soft and natural, so I always like to weave if a client has a fringe, but you guys can do whatever you'd like. This is just my preference, and I'll pretty much do the weave. It's kind of like a baby light weave all the way to the end of the fringe, and I just feel like it blends everything a lot better and just ties everything together really well. And then once I reach the end of the fringe, I just continue my slicing pattern to connect that back section with the front. So on the sides, I'm still going to be doing a weave like I normally would at the hairline, and then I'm probably going to be doing about 2 just to kind of match the kind of top area to the back. And then I'm going to be doing a weave around the ear as well to connect that, and then after that I normally will just continue my slicing pattern up the sides, connecting the front and the back. So once I'm done foiling her, I'm going to be putting her under the dryer just to kind of help with the lift, because some of her foils are a little bit longer, and sometimes if you have longer foils and the root area can get a little bit lighter just because of the body heat. So since her foils are slightly on the longer side, I am going to be putting her in the dryer, but I usually just put her under the dryer under like medium heat, nothing too hot or anything. It's just to kind of level out the heat distribution throughout her head and constantly just checking on her foils. But she lifts extremely well, and I normally we'll start rinsing out the back, because since we start in the back will definitely be ready before the front, since we're just using 20 volume throughout the rest of the head. And then once everything is done, I am going to shampoo all the lightener out and brush her out and just blow dry her to get her ready for the semi color that we're going to be putting on. So for her semi-permanent colors today, we're going to be using the Danger Jones line, and I did mix up a darker formula for the root just to kind of blend in her highlights a little bit, and then we are going to be doing a lighter color on the mids and ends. So the darker tone at the root is going to be Libertine and a little bit of Exotica to kind of deepen and just kind of melt all the color together. And then after I root everything else, I will be placing Exotica everywhere, which is their lighter purple, and it's a super pretty purple. It's more of a like blue based purple, I would say. So sometimes if the hair tends to pull a little bit more yellow, it can fade a little bit bluish. So if you're used to something that is more of like a pinky light purple, you may want to add a little more pink into it to kind of prevent it from fading bluish. But other than that, I feel like this would be a perfect tone to kind of even out her canvas and kind of even out the pinker spots that are in the back as well. So as I'm doing this application, I'm trying to take, again, just like thin slices and applying the color and moving the brush side to side on the hair to kind of help spread the color a little bit. This color is super pigmented, so I feel like a little bit goes a long way, and it is just super easy to blend into any other color. And then after this full application of color, I let this process for about like 30 minutes, and then we just rinsed her with some ice cold water and then styled her as usual. Alrighty guys, this is it. This is her finished look. I absolutely love the way that this turned out, and I feel like the Exotica was the perfect level and tone for like this type of purple to kind of match the pink that was really stubborn in the back that was still pretty vibrant. And I feel like this is going to fade out a lot more even, and I love that we used a darker color for the root to kind of blend in her highlights so that it blurred out all those lines at the very top. But I feel like this is going to fade out really pretty on her, and she'll be fully ready for the next color, her next appointment. Alrighty guys, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. As always, I will talk to you guys next week.